Hello, my strangelings. Tonight it is still the family Beckford case, but it's the Warren showing up to help the family, which is which in the book is chapter 10, Deliverance. I know I said I thought it ended, but it's been a while since I've actually read this book. And I'll explain in another video on why I purchased this book. But anyways, let's continue with how the Warrens, I guess you can say, saved the Beckford family. April 12th, inside the LaGuardia Airport Terminal, enough people to fill a small town milled around, waiting for planes. Outside the observation deck, the air was thick with diesel fumes and screaming whine of fan jet engines. Off to the left, Manhattan skyline was silhouetted against the setting sun. Above the twilight sky, incoming jets approached from the west, turned right over the white stone bridge, then one by one drifted slowly back down to earth. On board the big tri-jet touching down just 6 feet that evening were Ed and Lorraine Warren. Coming home after a 10-day speaking tour, they delivered 6 lectures in 4 states, appeared twice on television, answered 3 hours of questions on a radio call-in show, visited not barely haunted house, and granted 4 separate interviews to student newspaper reporters. They were glad to return. The Warrens looked forward to spending Easter Sunday with relatives. On Monday, they'd be off again, this time to Vermont. Around noon Saturday, the following day, Lorraine received a call from a man beside himself with fear and anguish. In her pleasant way, Lorraine calmed him down. Could you explain your problem as specifically as possible? For a quarter of an hour, Pete Beckford unfolded a tale almost too incredible to believe. He told her of the slashed tires and the vandalized engine that had cost him over $500 to repair. He told her of the ketchup, salad oils, bleach, and perfumes that floated down the hallway and dumped their contents on the rugs, and expensive furnishing. He told her that the statue and anvil and refrigerators had moved on their own. According to that, heavy furniture had levitated, that stones had fallen on his house, and water flowed from the walls. He couldn't stand it anymore. He pleaded for help and offered to pay anything for it. At first, it struck Lorraine that Pete Beckford's imagination had run wild. By the time he finished, it was evident to her this man's home was under diabolical siege. Ed is involved with another case this Saturday, she had to tell him. However, we are able to come to your home tomorrow, Sunday. Pete agreed immediately. After the anguish of the past 6 weeks, surely he reasoned one more day with the inconsequential demonically is not just a matter of chasing down spites of weird activities. Wherever they go, and despite their often busy schedule, the Warrens' first priority is to assist those who are being oppressed, assaulted, or even possessed by the forces of darkness. That night, Lorraine repacked their traveling bags, and early Easter morning, they were on their way to Vermont. via the home of one Pete Beckford. They arrived at the Beckford house on Easter afternoon. The place looked barely placid, Ed said, except for those stones littering the lawn. Inside, however, things were just the opposite. Evidently, expensive furniture stood chipped and stained. Marks covered the walls, and foul odor permeated the air. Lorraine said nothing, although at the time she sensed in the home the presence of an entity so numerous and threatening that she had to fight with herself to keep from going back outside. It seemed to her that a wild fury was building, that indeed the worst was yet to come. Having introduced his family to Ed and Lorraine, Pete then showed them the rest of the house. In every room, he stopped to uh, recount at least a dozen incidents to which the Warrens listened attentively, taking mental notes of the activities he described, while keeping an ear cocked for any exaggerations or salesmanship in the man's rendition of events. When the tour was over, Ed and Lorraine conducted an investigation interview with the four Beckfords. First, they asked Pete to speak for the family and give her chronology of events that had occurred in the house since the siege began. For over an hour, Pete provided the minuscule details of events that were, in the Warrens' estimation, potential spirit induced. Do any of you know what what may have caused this problem in your house? I asked. No, they answered. When did you notice the first occurrence of unusual activity? We figured it was on March 3rd when Vicky's car tire went flat at the drugstore. Throughout, through that may have been a coincidence. It seemed to have been the first incident, Pete replied. Has anyone in the neighborhood or your immediate family recently passed away? Perhaps someone you didn't get along with very well? No. Is anyone in the family seeing a psychiatrist? No. Did you purchase an antique or second-hand piece of furniture from a tag sale, say, before the ruckus began? No. Has anyone in the family bought or received an unusual or figurine from abroad? Carved statues, a Haitian voodoo doll, a picture of a deity from another religion? No. As Ed and Lorraine interviewed the Bickfords, intimate knockings began to occur. The sound that could be heard in the walls for a few minutes, then they'd stop. The noises started up again in a few minutes later, this time erupting from various points on the floor. The sounds were audible enough to be picked up on tape recorder. That's where I'm going to stop for now. And then after this weekend in November, the 4th through the 6th, after that weekend, because I have Comic-Con, I'll continue on. Alright? So I'll see you guys, crap, I don't have my calendar, but the weekend after the 6th. Alright? Bye.